Ever wondered what happens when a not-so-bright Snakey, a demon beast with the worst luck, mistakenly devours a guy with some serious hero complex? Spoiler alert, it's more chaotic than a chicken trying to cross the highway. But soon, it turned into a blessing because now he can take powers from triple S-rank demons. The sun sets over a quiet village, and a large bird caws as it soars overhead. Villagers in the street are urged to go home, as it hasn't been peaceful lately. Two villagers discuss the recent troubles, emphasizing the importance of securing their homes. One mentions that some big black snake devoured many people in the mountains, even cultivators. A young villager asks his father to bring the chickens into the house as well to protect them from the black snake, prioritizing their safety over any inconvenience. The father and son hurry away from a chilly and eerie-looking house, due to how unusually cold the area felt. Then when things quiet down, a mysterious entity with glowing eyes is seen lurking near the same house, adding to the eerie atmosphere. The black snake acknowledges that it is the one being discussed by the villagers, but it doesn't recall being old. The snake also doesn't see itself as scary while its body coils around a figure. The black snake continues to hiss and wriggle, recalling two individuals it encountered a few days ago. The snake admits that it indeed devoured those two individuals, confirming the villagers' fears. Then in the distance, cries for help are heard as someone refers to a human-shaped pill, accusing the victim of trying to escape after consuming medicinal herbs, hinting at an ominous purpose behind its actions. A terrified villager pleads with the mountain god, expressing his fear of being eaten. He continues begging for help, praying desperately while the figure of a ceremonial mountain god looms in the background. The snake notes how pitiful the villager looked, so he decides to just have a meal to end his suffering. Another person enters, lamenting the loss of their human-shaped pill that was meant to be part of their scheme. The person angrily reveals that the human-shaped pill had taken 10 years of preparation, demanding the snake return it. The black snake smugly comments on reuniting two miserable people and gleefully has another fun meal. It was quite a worthwhile meal as the snake is shown gaining intelligence. The snake then begins telling about his life being chased by the snake catcher sect, as its intelligence has not yet made it smarter than its natural predators. The black-clothed members of the snake catcher sect are impressive in their fighting skills. Even large serpents fail to escape them. The snake had learnt about the various stages of cultivation, witnessing different levels like chi refinement, foundation establishment, and core formation stages. This marks the snake's understanding of human cultivators and their strength. A powerful figure surrounded by blue energy hovers in the air, with the snake recognizing even cultivators at the nascent soul stage. The snake, trembling and reflecting on its previous escapes, realizes that humans and cultivators are extremely dangerous, and it must avoid them at all costs if he wishes to live a long and healthy life while surviving here. The snake considers the risks of hunting larger creatures like raptors and humans, preferring the relative safety of stealing poultry. But it soon grows hungry again. The snake laments that chickens and ducks are no longer satisfying its hunger, and they are becoming harder to steal. It then remembers a man in the Chun clan's village who raises pigs and decides to visit there. The snake pauses at a mural, contemplating the human's tendency to name themselves. It decides that it should give itself a name and chooses Snakey. The scene shifts to the Chun clan's village, where Snakey approaches a pig pen. Hissing with excitement as it lays its eyes on its next meal, Snakey gleefully finds a group of fat pigs, declaring that they look big enough to fill its stomach. Snakey also notices that the humans who raised the pigs are asleep, so it plans to proceed without hesitation. The pigs start to panic as Snakey swoops in, causing them to run and squeal. Snakey nervously warns the pigs to stop making noise, fearing they might attract the humans and get Snakey killed. Annoyed by the noisy pig, Snakey decides it has no choice but to devour that pig as well, and proceeds to do so. After eating too much, Snakey feels full and a bit sluggish, even remarking that it might have overdone it. It decides to rest for a bit, noting that it still has time before the humans wake up. 2 hours later, voices are heard discussing an altercation, accusing someone of stealing a woman. This is overheard by Snakey, who appears to be waking up. One person notes that Chun Fan seems to have stopped breathing, but the other dismisses it, claiming that stealing the woman deserves punishment regardless. This signals the escalating conflict Snakey is now witnessing after its feast. Snakey realizes it accidentally fell asleep and someone is coming. Panics, knowing humans are dangerous, and decides to hide in the pigsty. Snakey observes as two humans handle a dead body, planning to dispose of it in the pigsty. It hides above, hoping they won't notice it. The humans, after throwing the body into the pigsty, note that the pigs seem to have decreased in number. They leave, commenting on the stink of the place. Snakey peeks out and notices the dead body, contemplating how unlucky it is to be near a dead human. But the body suddenly twitches, startling Snakey. The supposedly dead human suddenly comes back to life, coughing. Snakey wonders if he just had been playing dead to fool others. The revived man then reveals that he is some kind of a mysterious immortal. He starts laughing maniacally, claiming to have been reincarnated and reborn in the body of Chun Fan. The immortal inside Chun Fan's body proclaims that he will take revenge for the humiliations suffered by the body's former owner. Snakey, still hidden, is confused, wondering who the man is talking to. Snakey panics, trying to stay unnoticed while the possessed Chun Fan mutters about how the body wouldn't have survived without being possessed by him. Snakey hopes that guy doesn't see him, while realizing it has to flee soon. Chun Fan notices Snakey's presence, identifying it as a spiritual beast. Snakey hisses in fear, realizing it's been spotted. Snakey grows more nervous as it realizes Chun Fan is a high-level cultivator, possibly a snake catcher, which could spell disaster for Snakey. Snakey worries about what to do next, fearing that if Chun Fan is indeed a snake catcher, it will die tonight. However, Chun Fan dismisses Snakey as a low-level spiritual beast and not worth his time. He begins circulating energy to heal himself and scare the snake away. A golden spiritual figure appears as Chun Fan's energy swirls around him, summoning an ancient power. Snakey becomes terrified, believing that Chun Fan is casting spells to kill it. Snakey frantically considers returning the pigs it ate to avoid being killed, but it's conflicted because it's almost done digesting them, so they won't come out looking very pretty. As Chun Fan's spiritual energy intensifies, Snakey panics, wondering what to do as it watches the powerful cultivator in action. Chun Fan's power and influence appear unstoppable, resembling the grand scale of a chessboard with souls as pieces. Snakey is desperate for a way out as the power builds around it. Chun Fan, now fully embracing the possession, vows to make his mark in this lifetime. Snakey, having no other choice, attacks fiercely, attempting to trample everything beneath its might. Chun Fan reacts aggressively, forcing Snakey into an all-out battle. A chaotic clash ensues between Chun Fan and Snakey. Snakey quickly gulps down its target during the fight, realizing it succeeded in part of its plan but can't relax just yet. Deciding that it's too dangerous to linger, Snakey quickly slithers away from the scene. As Snakey flees, Chun Fan discovers that he is inside Snakey's stomach, much to his surprise. Chun Fan, trapped inside Snakey, angrily berates the spiritual beast for ambushing him. He prepares to gather his strength to fight back from within. Chun Fan unleashes a powerful attack from inside Snakey, calling it the fury of the boundless ocean, as energy surges through him, setting the stage for a devastating counterattack. Snakey watches as Chun Fan, who is inside the snake's stomach, struggles but refuses to give up. Despite Snakey's efforts to incapacitate him, Chun Fan still manages to cast spells. Snakey, now panicking, hisses loudly, wondering how Chun Fan can still cast spells even after being swallowed. The snake is in disbelief as Chun Fan fights back from within his stomach. Inside Snakey, Chun Fan uses his powers to slice through the snake's insides, aiming to escape. He fiercely claws his way towards Snakey's core, determined to survive. Snakey panics, realizing that Chun Fan is nearing his demon core. Snakey is horrified as Chun Fan prepares to destroy it, knowing it will be his end if the core is shattered. Chun Fan taunts Snakey, grasping the demon core. He realizes that Snakey has been relying on this protective core for defense, and begins to crack it. With a final burst of strength, Chun Fan breaks the demon core, sealing Snakey's fate. Snakey can only watch in horror as his core shatters. Snakey, mortally wounded and in agony, now fatally wounded, flails and crashes around in his final throes. His body is unable to sustain itself after the destruction of the demon core, leading to his inevitable collapse as Chen Fan emerges victorious. Snakey, realizing he can't move anymore, is frustrated after working so hard to condense his demon core. Snakey reflects on how he awakened his intelligence and regrets coming to steal pigs. He knows that if he had known this would happen, he wouldn't have risked everything for such a small reward. Inside Snakey's body, Chun Fan is tearing through the red flesh and remarks on how weak Snakey is. He decides he will nourish himself with snake meat. As Chun Fan prepares to eat, the divine demonic cauldron suddenly appears. Chun Fan is shocked, wondering why the cauldron has shown up. Chun Fan tries to call the cauldron back to him, but it begins to escape, causing him to shout in frustration. Chun Fan watches the cauldron float away, confused as to why he can't retrieve it and why it's defying his command. The cauldron glows with a bright, overwhelming light, forcing Chun Fan to shield his eyes, confused by the intense radiance. Chun Fan, blinded by the brightness, struggles to understand what's happening as the cauldron continues to glow more intensely, with a brilliant, golden flame swirling in the air. Chun Fan looks shocked as he sees the divine demonic cauldron merging with the remnants of Snakey's demon core. A massive, menacing dragon-like figure emerges. Chun Fan, confused and frustrated, questions why his divine demonic cauldron is helping the beast instead of obeying him. As the dragon figure continues to grow in power, Chun Fan realizes that Snakey isn't an ordinary spiritual snake, and things are getting bad. The dragon roars loudly, releasing a surge of energy. The impact of the roar is intense, sending Chun Fan flying backward as he screams in fear. Snakey's body also releases a powerful attack, launching beams of light from its mouth. Chun Fan continues his struggle with this new entity, with Snakey's body thrashing all around while being surrounded by light. In a panicked state, Chun Fan screams about being an immortal, but realizing he is still in grave danger. Chun Fan is engulfed by a massive explosion of light, symbolizing his imminent defeat. Then we see a peaceful sunset over the mountains. As the intense battle comes to a quiet end, Snakey lies defeated. The sunrise illuminates the aftermath of his fight, hinting at a conclusion to the battle. Snakey is clearly wounded and in a critical state. One of the pigs trembles in fear after seeing the sight of Snakey lying, visibly injured after the events of the battle. Snakey's tail lies motionless on the ground, while Snakey laments over the loss of his demon core. The realization hits hard that Snakey has been utterly defeated. Snakey has a moment of sorrow and realization as he understands that his demon core is completely gone. The glow in the background represents the lost power that once resided within him, marking the end of his strength. The pig tries to bite Snakey's tail, which has grown longer after he consumed the demon god cauldron. As the pig persistently nips at his tail, Snakey gently lifts it and starts to choke the pig, shouting for it to stop. The pig quickly scurries away as Snakey declares he will devour them all. Observing the damage inflicted by the pig, Snakey expresses his frustration. He reflects on his survival, recalling that his demon core was destroyed by an immortal. He explains that the demon core is essential for any demon's cultivation, leaving him puzzled about how he can cultivate without it. Burying his head in the ground, Snakey laments that his situation is hopeless without a demon core. Suddenly, he realizes and questions how he is still alive despite the destruction of his demon core. It becomes evident that the demon god cauldron has replaced his demon core and is merging with him. Snakey looks at his stomach, where the demon core typically resides, and wonders how the demon god cauldron ended up there, speculating it may have saved his life by replacing his core. Additionally, he is astonished to discover he possesses some form of X-ray vision, allowing him to see inside his own body. Testing this ability on nearby pigs, he realizes he can also perceive the insides of other nearby creatures. He wonders if this is divine perception, marveling at this newfound skill typically reserved for cultivators. Closing his eyes, he finds he can still access this ability, concluding that hunting for food and evading dangerous beasts and humans will be significantly easier from now on. Upon reopening his eyes, he feels as though a vast amount of information has flooded his mind, reminiscent of the intelligence he acquired after consuming the 2 human cultivators earlier. He understands he has also obtained the cultivation paths of Chun Fan. Suddenly, he feels a sharp pain in his head and recognizes the need to address it. He curls his body into a circle, expressing uncertainty about the process but believing it can heal his injuries. He attempts to replicate Chun Fan's meditation technique, recalling the chant, "Heaven and earth are the chessboard and all beings are the pieces," concluding that repeating this chant will activate the demon core. A faint spiritual energy begins to radiate from the demon god cauldron, causing the surrounding area to resonate with spiritual energy. This energy starts to visibly mend Snaky's injuries, including closing the wounds on his tail. Astonished by the effectiveness of this method, he notes that after just a few minutes of practice, his body is filled with spiritual energy, feeling as light as if he had consumed spiritual herbs. As he coils his body, resembling a self-embrace, he reflects that meditation should primarily enhance cultivation, with healing being a beneficial side effect. He pauses to contemplate the fact that his demon core is shattered, making it impossible for him to store spiritual energy. He wonders if the demon god cauldron has assumed the role of his demon core. However, he quickly dismisses this thought, deciding he should first leave this place and find a suitable location to rest for a few days before focusing on cultivation. In the background, one of the pigs remains relaxed in the area, and Snaky concludes he can grow stronger over time, advising himself not to engage with humans at this moment. He spots some pigs and decides he must indulge himself fully before embarking on his cultivation journey. After feasting on the pigs, the scene shifts to a river where Snaky is bathing, using a rabbit as a makeshift cloth to clean himself. Since his enlightenment through the human pellets, new insights have been surfacing intermittently, with increasing intensity. One morning, after several days have passed, he suddenly comprehends what humans refer to as the cultivation system. He discovers that the demon beast cultivation system is similarly categorized into various stages, akin to humans, with stages named the spiritual stage, establishment stage, core formation stage, and soul stage. Snaky currently resides at the peak of the first spiritual stage, which corresponds to the peak of the initial human chi refining stage. He dreams of spiritual beasts capable of splitting heaven and earth, igniting a deep yearning within him. He aspires to become such a beast to escape his haunting past and live life to the fullest. Recognizing the necessity of cultivation, he resolves to cultivate, depicted in a cave with spiritual energy radiating from his body as he recites Chun Fan's chant. He notes that after several days of practicing the mysterious arts, he has realized its potential extends beyond mere injury healing. It can also enhance his physique and purify his meridians. This process not only eliminates impurities but also facilitates shedding of his skin. He strikes the cave wall with his tail, expressing that a week has passed and he has undergone significant changes. His horns have lengthened, and his scales have hardened, enhancing his majestic appearance. However, he vents his frustration, questioning why his body has shrunk to 6 centimeters. He insists that after shedding his skin, he should have grown larger, noting that he has decreased from 30 centimeters to 6 centimeters. A bird lands beside him, which he perceives as mockery, prompting him to swiftly kill it with a single tail strike. As he consumes the bird, he remarks that despite his reduced size, his speed, power, and flexibility have significantly increased, allowing his body to stretch considerably. He asserts that, with effort, he could even take down large prey. Confident that the demon god cauldron has become his demon core, he senses his spiritual energy accumulating within it, preparing him for a breakthrough. However, he realizes that the energy consumption is excessive. While Chun Fan's arts enable him to absorb spiritual energy from heaven and earth, mere absorption is insufficient for cultivation. Without resources to advance to the next stage, he requires a substantial replenishment of energy. Observing a wild boar feasting on watermelon, Snaky notes that although wild boars are large and somewhat dangerous, he is now at the peak of the first spiritual stage according to the cultivation system. Since the wild boar lacks developed intelligence and is weaker than him, he stealthily approaches it, confident that with proper preparation, he can secure a delicious meal. He gathers some small rocks with his tail and mouth, believing they will suffice, while the wild boar remains oblivious to Snaky's approach from behind. Continuing to feast on the watermelons as Snaky inches closer, he suddenly halts and drops the rock from his mouth. Before him stands the wild boar, glaring at him with a fierce expression and its body radiating spiritual energy. Snaky attempts to feign ignorance, encouraging the boar to keep eating, but the wild boar responds with a thunderous roar and charges at him. Snaky, running away, questions why a mere wild boar is so intimidating but soon finds himself cornered. Realizing he can no longer flee and must fight for his life, he uses the rocks in his tail, hurling them at the wild boar with great speed, determined to injure it first. To his astonishment, his attack obliterates the boar, leaving its body in ruins. Snaky watches in disbelief as the wild boar collapses, wondering if it truly succumbed to a single strike and questioning his own strength. However, he hesitates, recalling that wild boars can be cunning and might feign death to be safe. He launches additional rocks at the seemingly lifeless boar and, after confirming its demise, exhales in relief. He acknowledges how close he came to danger yet recalls the earlier incident at the pig pen. He resolves to ensure the wild boar remains permanently incapacitated by dismembering it, separating the head and limbs from the torso. As he begins to consume the wild boar, he notes that its meat is significantly firmer than that of pigs and possesses a unique flavor. Suddenly, he stops and spits out the meat, bewildered by its taste. It becomes clear that this was no ordinary wild boar. It contained a demon core. He realizes that the wild boar is actually a pig demon, which is quite unsettling. He explains that demon cores contain violent spiritual energy and cannot be consumed raw, otherwise the body would explode, leading to death. He notes that to absorb a demon core, one must refine it into a pill, but he lacks the knowledge to do so. Suddenly, he pauses, contemplating that in the wild, beasts like tigers consume their prey, including both the body and the core. This raises the question of whether they would explode from eating a raw demonic core, suggesting they would have gone extinct long ago. Snaky's expression brightens as he realizes that his understanding comes from humans, implying that he might be able to consume a raw demonic core since the physiology of humans and beasts differs fundamentally. He then opens his mouth wide, attempting to swallow the demon core. Due to the size difference, he struggles momentarily before successfully consuming it. Almost immediately, a bright light radiates from his stomach, and he exclaims that it is getting hot. The demon god cauldron within him begins to absorb the core rapidly, filling up. He feels an overwhelming surge of spiritual energy and shouts that he is breaking through, successfully reaching the second spiritual stage. His body becomes covered in spiked scales, and he marvels as two of his scales turn golden. Testing their strength on a nearby rock, he destroys it with a single blow, amazed at the iron-like quality of his scales. Suddenly, something catches his attention. As he turns, he sees a human figure wielding a weapon, causing him to sweat. The boy lifts his weapon, directing it towards Snaky. Snaky observes the boy, pondering his intentions and questioning whether he is about to be attacked and if the boy possesses the abilities of a cultivator. A fleeting image of Chen Fan crosses his mind, leading him to wonder if the boy shares similarities with Chen Fan. As the boy attempts to stab Snaky, Snaky instinctively takes a defensive stance, sensing the imminent danger. With a swift flick of his tail, he shatters the boy's weapon and seizes the chance to escape, muttering about the frightening nature of humans and the need to flee before the boy's companions arrive. Meanwhile, the boy, relieved to have narrowly escaped danger, calls his father to report that the old black snake has killed and consumed the demonic pig beast responsible for his mother's death, but spared his life. His father, bewildered, asks for clarification. The scene shifts to a forest where Snaky navigates a rugged staircase. He pauses, realizing he is no longer being pursued. Contemplating the boy's unusual nature, Snakey suspects he is not an ordinary child and questions whether his fear was overblown. Reflecting on how a spirit beast aspiring to become a colossal entity capable of splitting the heavens could be intimidated by a mere boy, Snakey decides he needs to reassess his approach. Arriving at the mountain god temple, he seeks tranquility and begins to pay his respects. Inside the temple, Snakey notices the delightful aroma of food. Upon closer inspection, he finds that the food is offerings to the mountain god. Snakey reasons that the deity would not want the food to go to waste, so he decides to sample it first, promising to worship afterward to make his devotion more genuine. After eating, Snakey begins to pray to the mountain god, asking for blessings to rid him of his demon heart, succeed in his cultivation, and gain strength and a good life. Suddenly, Snakey hears a voice mentioning a girl and questioning where she will run. He realizes someone is approaching the temple, accompanied by cries for help. A woman rushes in, pursued by several individuals. One of the pursuers, addressed as Master Q, instructs his followers to wait outside and expresses his intent to have some fun with the girl. Snakey hides behind the mountain god statue, feeling trapped, and uses his X-ray vision to examine the temple structure, noting that there is only one exit, making escape without detection impossible. Through his X-ray vision, Snakey observes Master Q and the girl. Master Q asserts that no woman has ever defied him when he shows interest. The frightened girl warns him to stay away, prompting Master Q to threaten her, insisting she be careful with her words or face a fate worse than death. Armed with a knife, the girl retorts that while she may not be able to kill him, she can take her own life to prevent him from having his way. Snakey recalls Master Q from the pig pen and remembers that he was responsible for beating Fan to death and disposing of him. Observing Master Q's behavior, Snakey wonders if he is experiencing a state of heat. Snakey suggests that the mountain god should bless them and that they should depart as soon as they finish, allowing him to return to his prayers. Suddenly, one of the mountain god's hands breaks off and crashes to the ground, causing Master Chio and the woman to momentarily pause and turn their attention to the statue. As they gaze at the statue, they realize someone is hiding behind it. Master Chio calls out, demanding to know who is concealed behind the mountain god. Meanwhile, the woman rushes toward the statue, believing the mountain god has come to life. She kneels before it, praying for salvation. To her astonishment, Snakey reveals himself. His appearance as a menacing black snake causes the woman to scream in terror, exclaiming that a spirit beast has emerged. Confused, Master Cho asks the woman where the spirit beast is. In her panic, she accidentally collides with Master Cho's knife, resulting in him stabbing her. Master Cho gasps in horror, realizing he did not intend to harm her. Hearing his cries, the minions waiting outside rush into the temple, inquiring about the commotion. One minion asks Master Cho if he has already had his fun, but Master Cho shouts that a spirit beast is present in the temple. As they begin to search for the creature, Master Cho accuses the spirit beast of ruining his enjoyment and demands it leave immediately. He declares himself an outer disciple of the snake-catching sect, causing Snakey to break into a sweat. Not receiving a response from Snakey, Master Cho instructs his minions to check behind the mountain god, which they agree to do cautiously, weapons in hand, calling out for Snakey to reveal himself. Meanwhile, Snakey is in a state of panic, fearing for his life. Resolving to fight rather than await his fate, he exposes himself with a fierce expression, showcasing his sharp fangs. The minions recoil in terror, exclaiming. Master Cho, lurking in the background, urges his minions not to fear such a small creature. As he begins to gather spiritual energy in his palm, he instructs his minions to restrain Snakey while he prepares to unleash the snake-catching sect's air-splitting palm, a technique that requires time to accumulate energy. Motivated by the promise of a handsome reward from Master Cho for slaying the snake spirit beast, the minions charge at Snakey, believing Master Cho to be their strongest adversary. Snakey resolves to eliminate all the minions before Master Cho can complete his energy gathering, thinking this is his only chance to win. With a powerful swing of his tail, Snakey strikes the minions, dispatching them effortlessly in a single blow. He is taken aback by their weakness, while Master Cho watches in horror, perceiving Snaky as a menacing figure radiating a dark aura of death. Overcome with fear, Master Cho turns to flee, shouting that he will alert the snake catchers, which astonishes Snaky even more. Snaky ponders why Master Cho is retreating instead of completing his energy gathering. Master Cho warns that the leader of the snake catchers will turn Snaky into a pill, prompting Snaky to realize he cannot allow Master Cho to escape. With a swift strike of his tail, Snaky delivers a fatal blow to Master Cho, killing him instantly. Snaky exhales in relief, grateful that Master Cho chose to flee rather than complete his spiritual gathering. Snaky starts to contemplate whether his theft of the tribute from the mountain god has led to his current predicament. He wonders if the mountain god is displeased with him, prompting him to offer a tribute in the form of the deceased bodies of Master Cho and his followers. With prayer sticks held in his tail, he presents the bodies as an offering, beseeching the mountain god to accept them and temper his wrath. As Snaky reflects, he considers the possibility that the mountain god might be using this incident to urge him to accelerate his cultivation, or else he may be forced to remain in hiding indefinitely. He begins to motivate himself, believing that the heavens have bestowed upon him a significant mission. Snaky acknowledges that he must endure hardship, allowing his muscles and bones to strain and his body to experience hunger, ultimately transforming into a formidable beast. He then makes his way out of the mountain god's temple, reassuring the deity that he is returning to his mountain cave to focus on his cultivation. A week later, a radiant light emanates from Snaky's mountain cave. He remarks that despite a week of practice, he has yet to fill the second layer of spiritual mist, and the demon god cauldron remains only half full. Snaky notes that the small beasts he consumes daily not only fail to satiate him but also do little to aid his cultivation. He muses that it would be beneficial to encounter another pig demon. Even the bird-catching trap he set up has yielded no results. He attempts to uplift his spirits by recalling the saying that one should wait patiently for a rabbit, hoping the same principle applies to pigs. However, he questions the absence of demon pigs or wild pigs in the area. With a sigh, Snaky wonders why he has not been able to catch any substantial prey lately, making it difficult to cultivate and barely satisfying his hunger. He ponders the idea that if a pig eats a melon, and he subsequently eats the pig, it implies that he could simply consume the melon instead. As Snaky reflects on his thoughts, he halts when he sees a boy about to walk with his father. The boy informs his father that the river experienced flooding this year, resulting in an abundance of fish. Snaky continues to observe the boy, curious about the identity of the burly man accompanying him, and wonders if the melon field belongs to them. Suddenly, the boy notices Snaky, leaving him perplexed about how the boy could see him. The boy grabs a bag and rushes towards Snaky, prompting his father to ask where he is headed. Snaky contemplates the boy's approach and decides to climb a nearby tree to conceal himself. When the boy arrives, he places the bag down, stating that he will leave it there. Meanwhile, Snaky is intrigued by the boy's actions as he watches him run away. The boy calls out to Snaky, announcing that the fish in the bag are a reward for him, urging him to come down and eat. Snaky descends from the tree, salivating as he inquires if the boy intends to share some fish. Upon seeing the fish before him, Snaky questions whether the boy is attempting to poison him, asserting that he is not naive. However, since the fish are still alive and wriggling, he decides to sample one to check for poison. He tastes a fish, declaring that it is not bad and quite enjoyable, leading him to consume more. As the boy returns, he muses that the old black snake enjoys eating fish. Suddenly, a voice calls out to him, and the boy looks up to see a tall man whose face is mostly obscured by clothing. The man inquires if he has seen the old black snake recently. Upon noticing the golden plate on the man's waist, the boy realizes they are snake catchers from the snake-catching sect, here to capture the old black snake. The man asks the boy again about the snake, but the boy remains silent, leading the man to suspect he might be mute. Eventually, the boy replies that he has never encountered the old black snake. At this point, the man's companion, also clad in black, addresses him as Senior Brother Ding, and informs him that the boy is of no help as he knows nothing. Suddenly, a commotion arises from the top of a hill as several crows take flight, drawing the attention of the two men and the boy. The men are puzzled by the disturbance and decide to investigate. One of them speculates that it could be the old black snake, prompting the boy to inwardly wish for the snake to escape their grasp. However, before they can ascend the hill, they halt upon hearing a voice claiming that the old black snake has consumed someone in the river. Interpreting this as a sign that the snake is in the river, the men dash toward it, determined not to let it slip away. Meanwhile, the boy chuckles, confident that the old black snake is busy eating the fish he provided, so it cannot possibly be in the river. At the summit of the hill, where the crows were cawing, several broken eggs lay scattered as Snaky made his escape, lamenting that the foolish birds had caused him to break a few eggs and even pecked him on the head. He pondered the situation, recalling how he had narrowly evaded capture by the snake-catching sect, who were now accusing him of consuming people in the river. He was perplexed by the boy's claim that he had never seen him before, but he dismissed the thought, concluding that human behavior was too perplexing for him to comprehend. Ultimately, he recognized that his primary concern was to evade the snake catchers, who were now pursuing him, resolving that he must avoid this area in the future to ensure his survival. Near the riverbank, Snaky resolved to escape to the mountains on the opposite side, believing it would provide a safe hiding place for at least a few months. As he began to swim across the river, he noted that winter was approaching in 3 months and lamented his lack of food, which would hinder his cultivation progress during this period. Suddenly, a figure emerged before him, prompting him to question its identity. Before he could finish his thought, a massive fish lunged at him, mouth agape, attempting to swallow him whole. Snaky cursed his misfortune as he spotted the monstrous fish approaching. He quickly leaped aside, wondering why such creatures inhabited the river. Submerging his head underwater to locate the beast, he realized it was a giant eel, having come from upstream. Its serpentine shape explained why it was blamed for the disappearances in the river. Snaky also noted that the eel appeared severely injured, likely a consequence of a fierce confrontation with the snake catchers. He was left wondering why the eel had attacked him without provocation while he was merely trying to pass through. The giant eel and Snaky locked eyes, and Snaky quickly realized that the creature was not attempting to flee. Instead, it sought to regain its strength by consuming him. With a grin, Snaky resolved to confront the eel directly, considering it a potential source of sustenance for the approaching winter. However, he soon reconsidered, acknowledging the eel's formidable nature, especially since it had evaded capture by the snake catchers. The risk of hunting it seemed too great, prompting him to prioritize his own safety. Just as he attempted to escape, the giant eel lunged at him from behind, intent on devouring him. Snaky noted the creature's relentless determination. In a swift maneuver, Snaky dodged the eel's attack by swimming to the side, causing the giant creature to collide with the riverbank. As he tried to flee again, Snaky pondered the eel's tenacity and his own growing fatigue. Determined, Snaky decided to muster all his strength to break through the eel's weakened abdomen, hoping for a chance to escape. Transforming into his battle form, Snaky grew significantly larger than usual. He delivered a powerful tail slam to the eel's abdomen, eliciting a cry of pain from the creature. After biting into a piece of the eel's flesh, he remarked on its slimy texture and peculiar odor. Suddenly, he exclaimed that it felt hot and wondered how there could be fire at the river's bottom. Observing his surroundings, he noticed that the water spray had ignited, leaving him baffled as to how this phenomenon was occurring while he remained submerged. As the giant eel charged toward him with the intent to consume him, Snaky questioned whether he was experiencing an illusion. He speculated that the eel's mucus might be causing hallucinations. With the eel drawing ever closer, he recalled Chun Fan's teachings about illusions, which emphasized the importance of remaining calm. In response, Snaky curled his body and began to concentrate his spiritual energy into a single point. He started reciting the incantation of the demon god Cauldron, envisioning heaven and earth as a chessboard and all living beings as its pieces. With a powerful roar, He commanded the illusion to shatter, and the demon god cauldron transformed into a magnificent dragon, causing the illusion to begin to disintegrate. Snaky was filled with awe as he realized he had managed to break the illusion, but he quickly noticed that a massive eel was mere inches away from devouring him. In a moment of desperation, Snaky closed his eyes, acknowledging that escape was impossible, and instinctively lashed out at the eel with his tail. To his astonishment, his tail, reinforced by golden scales tougher than iron, sliced the eel clean in half. Opening his eyes, Snaky was taken aback by the sight of the eel's body, severed by his tail. He contemplated the strength of his tail, reflecting on the potential of his golden scales, which, if further refined, could render him invincible. However, he dismissed this thought, recognizing the need for caution and attributing his success to sheer luck, noting that the eel was already injured when it collided with the scales. Determined to act prudently, Snaky decided to retreat and conceal himself in the mountains, reasoning that caution was the best approach for the time being. The scene shifts to the opposite side of the mountain, where Snaky has already processed and packaged the eel's meat. He estimated that this supply would sustain him for several months of cultivation, and with the demon core in his possession, he believed he could advance to the third spiritual stage. Additionally, he discovered a golden plate within the eel's body and speculated whether the eel's last meal was a snake catcher from the river. Snaky bowed his head in respect for the eel, acknowledging that it had aided him in overcoming his foes. He expressed that he should not be resented for his actions, as they were dictated by the natural order. He reassured the eel that he would utilize every part of its meat, ensuring that its sacrifice would not be in vain. Snaky noted that even the demon core would not go to waste. However, as he attempted to consume it, Snaky realized it was too large to swallow. He then became aware that the snake catchers would soon be upon him, prompting him to flee. He secured the eel's meat to his tail and held the demon core in his mouth, reasoning that he could refine it later in the mountains. Suddenly, the snake catchers arrived at the scene, expressing their newfound understanding of the situation. They had been puzzled by how the old black snake had managed to escape so swiftly in the water. They clarified that the water beast that had attacked someone in the river was not the old black snake. Rather, it was the old black snake that had fought and defeated the water beast. One of the catchers suggested pursuing the old black snake, but another explained that the mountains ahead were the territory of the iron bear. This meant that a formidable beast at the peak of the third spiritual stage resided there, and they should not underestimate it. Additionally, the mountains were expansive, and the forest was dense, making it possible that they might not locate the old black snake for months and might encounter the bear beast instead. The second snake catcher inquired if Senior Brother Ding had heard that the old black snake had recently consumed an alchemist and his human companion, who had been cultivating for many years. This implied that the medicinal properties of that human were likely still within the old black snake, presenting a rare opportunity for Senior Brother Ding, who had been stuck at the third chi refinement stage. However, before he could elaborate, Senior Brother Ding cautioned that it would be too risky for the two of them to venture into the mountains at this time, as they would likely suffer significant losses. They ultimately decided to wait until the mountains were blanketed in snow, at which point the bears, snakes, and other beasts would enter hibernation, allowing them to profit from their next expedition. In the meantime, Snaky had discovered a cave and was relishing its comfort. He described it as both warm and pleasant, planning to take refuge there for several months. Snaky had even hung his meat at the entrance, stating that he would focus on cultivation after getting some rest. 2 months have passed since Snaky's earlier cultivation efforts. He reflects on the challenges of breaking through to the third level of spiritual awareness, finding it more difficult than previous advancements. Despite his efforts, Snaky still hasn't reached the breakthrough but notes a minor accomplishment. 3 more golden scales have appeared on his tail, indicating some progress. Snaky further assesses his situation, observing that the spiritual fog inside his cauldron is full, and he is near the peak of the second level. He feels he only needs one more opportunity to push through to the third level. However, winter has arrived, and Snaky's body is starting to stiffen due to the cold. With only a little eel flesh left, He decides that he has no choice but to go into hibernation and wait until the spring to hunt for more food for cultivation. Meanwhile, a group of villagers and experts from the snake catcher sect embark on a mission to capture snakes in the mountains. They rally their forces, including specially trained dogs, confident in their snake-catching skills. However, some among them express concerns about the arrogance of the snake catcher sect, while others remain focused on the rewards and benefits from this mission. One of the villagers talks excitedly about using his earnings to support his child's studies, highlighting the personal motivations driving many of the participants. The dogs from the snake catcher sect quickly locate a hole, believing it to be the nest of the old black snake. The Taoist orders the others to step aside as he inspects the hole. Snakey, hiding inside, panics as he realizes they've found him while he's at his most vulnerable. His body is stiff from the cold, and he can't escape or fight. One of the snake catchers mistakes the feces near the hole for snake droppings, but the Taoist quickly corrects him, pointing out it's actually bear feces. Snakey, hiding deeper inside, sighs with relief, proud of his clever use of bear droppings and stones to disguise his nest. He listens as the group discusses the situation, mocking the villagers they've brought along to help, revealing their ruthless nature. Despite some confusion about the true nature of the pit, the group finally realizes it's a snake den, and they prepare to act on their discovery. Meanwhile, Snakey resolves to gather his strength quickly, knowing he might need to defend himself or escape soon. The snake catchers are planning to lure out the demon bear first, intending to use it to locate the demon snake afterward. Snakey, overhearing their heartless plan, is shocked by their cruelty, thinking even animals wouldn't treat their own like that. Amidst Snakey's horror, he realizes the real danger isn't just their cold-heartedness, but the fact that they are aware of his presence. The demon bear awakens, and Snakey considers the opportunity to devour the bear's core and potentially reach the third level of strength in one go. However, Snakey quickly realizes that this plan would put him in even more danger with both the bear and snake catchers present. As the snake catchers continue their internal conflicts, Snakey, hidden and observing, tries to stay calm, but panic sets in when he hears them plotting to capture him once they handle the bear. The tension builds, and Snakey's fear grows when they confirm the bear will awaken in less than 30 minutes. Suddenly, the bear bursts out of the cave with red eyes blazing. The snake catchers panic, realizing they've been in the wrong place all along, mistaking the bear's den for Snakey's pit. Chaos ensues as they scramble to flee from the enraged bear, shouting for the Taoist and struggling to escape the impending doom they unwittingly brought upon themselves. The snake catchers spot the two Taoists on top of a cliff and call out for their help, believing they have arrived just in time to save them from the demon bear. However, the Taoist responds coldly, calling them trash and accusing them of causing unnecessary trouble. Instead of helping, he heartlessly tells them to get ended where they stand. One of the snake catchers realizes they were deliberately led to the bear's cave as part of a plan to take them out and save resources, which enrages them. They confront the Taoists, accusing them of betraying them for money. The confrontation escalates quickly, and one of the snake catchers attempts to fight back, but a well-timed attack from the Taoist easily disarms him, further demonstrating the Taoist's ruthless nature. As the fight continues, a pill drops from the Taoist's belongings, and Snakey notices its scent, recognizing it as a chi-replenishing pill. Snakey is astonished by how powerful the pill smells, feeling its effects rejuvenate his body even from a distance. He realizes how magical the pill is and how it might be key to his recovery. Meanwhile, chaos breaks out as the demon bear charges toward the snake catchers, and they scramble to gather their fallen items before the beast reaches them. One of the senior snake catchers berates the others for being careless and allowing the demon bear to get too close, calling them trash for making such a mess. The demon bear towers over them, poised to strike, while the snake catchers prepare for their last stand, all of them realizing their lives are at risk. The Taoist looks down from the cliff, unimpressed, telling one of the senior snake catchers to hurry up and join the battle or else face the consequences. The battle intensifies as one of the figures is flung into the air, while the massive demon bear charges through the battlefield, leaving devastation in its wake. Zhao Wenjue is accused by senior brother Ding of betrayal, shouting in anger as the bear looms closer. Zhao, however, mocks him, stating that this has been his plan all along. Zhao reveals his true intentions. He doesn't care about the demon snake or bear. His goal is simply to eliminate senior brother Ding. The bear is enraged, and Zhao sarcastically encourages Ding to use the bear as breakthrough material, further taunting him. A talisman explodes, sending fire and devastation toward the bear. Zhao, watching the chaos, expresses satisfaction with his senior brother's clever plan. The bear roars in agony, its massive body engulfed in flames. Zhao smirks, noting how insane Ding's story is. As the flames consume the battlefield, Zhao decides to step back, not wanting to involve himself further with the enraged bear. Meanwhile, Snaky, witnessing the chaos from a distance, contemplates making a move, realizing the bear is now heavily injured. Snaky sees this as a potential turning point in the situation. Snaky prepares himself to take action after a crucial moment of swallowing the pill. With a fierce expression, Snaky declares that it's his turn to go out, his eyes glowing with intensity, and he charges forward with a burst of energy. Snaky's appearance has a strong aura of power, and it seems like he's ready to confront the dangers that await him, fully energized and determined for the battle ahead. Snaky, noticing 2 more chi replenishing pills at the entrance, contemplates devouring them all at once. His insatiable hunger grows, and he wonders whether eating all 3 pills together will let him fully absorb their power. He contemplates hiding one behind his teeth for a future advantage. Suddenly, a pack of wolves approaches, drawn by the smell of blood. Snaky, now feeling stronger and hungrier after consuming the pill, decides to feast on the wolves instead of humans. He springs into action, slashing through the wolves with ease. The wolves growl in defiance, but Snaky seems more than prepared to take them down. Snaky devours many wolves but still feels an overwhelming sense of hunger. The power of the divine demonic cauldron allows Snaky to digest food instantly, but even that isn't enough to satiate the hunger. Surrounded by the remaining wolves, Snaky questions why the hunger persists and ponders whether it's because of the presence of the great demon bear. Eating just wolves doesn't seem to satisfy the growing need for sustenance. Snaky observes the demon bear, realizing it's still incredibly strong despite its injuries. He watches as the bear devours one of the wolves, crunching down on its meal with brutal force. Snaky notes that the bear's power is at least at the peak of the 3rd level, much higher than his current peak of the 2nd level. However, Snaky feels conflicted as the hunger gnaws at him, and he contemplates whether the divine demonic cauldron is driving him to eat the demon bear. The cauldron seems to demand it, but Snaky knows the risk is high. He rationalizes that if he doesn't take a chance to defeat this bear, he won't grow stronger. As the bear looms over him, Snaky strategizes, believing that as long as he's smart and cautious, he still has a shot at winning this fight. Snaky finds himself in a fierce battle with the demon bear. He launches an attack to blind the bear, creating a brief moment of advantage. The bear roars in pain, stumbling from the impact, but Snaky is starting to feel the effects of exhaustion as the power from the pill wears off. His body begins to stiffen, and his movements become sluggish. Despite managing to injure the bear, Snaky realizes that he is running out of strength, making the fight increasingly difficult. Snaky rolls around, determined to recover after digesting another chi-replenishing pill, thinking it will be enough to heal and regain strength. Despite sustaining minor injuries, Snaky decides it won't heal yet and focuses on taking down the demon bear before worrying about anything else. The intense battle continues as Snaky bites into the demon bear, landing a critical blow. However, the demon bear remains immensely strong despite the injury. Though blinded, the demon bear still fights back with overwhelming strength, causing Snaky to struggle against its power. Snaky feels the crushing weight of the demon bear's attacks, realizing that his body might be broken from the sheer force. Snaky is determined to take down the demon bear by constriction. Despite the bear's fierce resistance, knowing that this is a critical moment, after a brief struggle, Snaky manages to inflict more damage, but the demon bear still proves to be resilient. Realizing the bear is too powerful for direct attacks now, Snakey decides to keep a safe distance and looks for an alternative method to finish the fight. Snakey uses a large log, dropping it forcefully on the demon bear, aiming to incapacitate it and finally end the battle. Snakey observes the fallen demon bear and comments that it should be defeated by now. However, being cautious, Snakey begins to heal itself, still alert for any signs of danger. Suddenly, Snakey notices a pack of wolves sneaking up, ready to take advantage of the situation and claim the spoils of the battle. Determined not to lose its prize, Snakey declares that it has no choice but to consume the last chi replenishing pill and face the wolves head-on. After a time skip of 2 hours, the scene shifts to a snow-covered battlefield where the aftermath of the confrontation is evident. Snakey, visibly exhausted and breathing heavily, looks around at the aftermath of the fight, stating that it should now be safe, having successfully defended against the wolves. Snakey, still feeling the effects of the chi replenishing pill, knows the pill's effect won't last much longer and starts planning to find a safe place to heal before resuming cultivation. He also worries about the possibility of the snake catchers returning. As Snakey moves through the battlefield, he reflects on the many fallen bodies. With a sigh, he ponders how many times it must take for humans to reincarnate just to end up like this. While slithering through the snow, Snakey notices something odd and approaches a particular body, curious about what it might be. Upon closer inspection, Snakey realizes it's the body of a man who looks like a young boy's father, with wolves lying beside him. Confused as to why the wolves haven't fled, he speaks to them, but they remain still. Finally, Snakey realizes that both the wolves and the man have already frozen to their end. He laments over their condition, noting that their bodies have already grown stiff from the cold. Snakey reflects on the wolves' loyalty to their master, even in death. This thought stirs some conflicted emotions within Snakey, contemplating the concept of loyalty and survival. Determined to survive, Snakey acknowledges the harsh reality of this world. Only the cunning and deceitful manage to stay alive. With that, Snakey pulls a sled of supplies, determined to endure no matter what comes next. Inside a hidden cave, Snakey finds solace, thinking the location is safe due to a puddle concealing the cavern. The environment provides an opportunity to recover. Snakey, while still capable of moving, begins cultivating with the demon bear. The taste of the bear is incredibly satisfying, and Snakey recognizes the potency of the demon bear's power, understanding why the divine demonic cauldron was so eager. Finally, Snakey prepares to absorb the essence of the demon bear, the familiar power of the cauldron activating once again, signaling that it's time to take in the energy. Snakey's eyes light up like a disco ball at his success, as he proudly shouts, "I did it!" With a glow so bright, it could power a city. His tail gleams, marking his next spiritual level up. Like a kid who just unlocked the next level of a video game, Snakey is beyond thrilled. The third level of spiritual awakening. I've finally done it. He practically bursts with excitement, as if he's just hit the jackpot. But wait, there's more. Not only is Snakey basking in his peak level power, but he's also got 10 new golden scales on his tail. Talk about leveling up in style. He grins wide, thinking, yep, the bigger the risk, the bigger the reward. Totally worth it. And then, in true Snakey fashion, the daydream kicks in. He pictures himself as the next Monkey King, sitting on a mountain with a fancy staff, ruling over all. Maybe by next spring, I'll take over a mountain and become king. Snakey ponders, clearly getting a little carried away in his newfound glory. Snakey awakens after a long hibernation, realizing that spring has arrived. Surprised by how quickly time has passed, Snakey is now 8 feet long with 11 golden scales, reflecting the significant growth over the last few months. Snakey observes that not only has the body grown, but the divine consciousness has also expanded. Detecting 2 wild boars nearby, Snakey decides it's time to go out, stretch, and have a meal. Snakey attacks one of the boars, letting out a loud roar and ambushing the animal. However, upon realizing that one of the boars is pregnant, Snakey decides to spare her. Snakey comments on this newfound knowledge about the ecological balance, that was picked up in the past few months, deciding instead to only eat the male boar and maintain balance in the environment. Snakey reflects on his newfound responsibility as he realizes that living on the mountain means relying on its resources. He ponders the need to let some creatures grow and not overhunt for long-term survival. Snakey lists the various animals inhabiting the mountain and notes that managing his food supply carefully will ensure his survival without running out of prey. As Snakey watches the sunset, he contemplates that staying on the mountain alone is not enough for cultivation. He remembers that adventures and opportunities are essential for growth and decides it's time to return to his hometown. Snakey moves through the wilderness, encountering other snakes as he approaches the mysterious Myriad Snake Valley. Upon arrival at the valley, he observes the stunning environment, illuminated by the glowing lights of spring. The valley is brimming with life as the snakes awaken and the mating season begins, signaling the return of vitality to the area. Snakey proudly declares his strong-willed nature, asserting his strength as a snake, despite acknowledging that every time he returns, a small white snake would seek him out. Despite their past connection, he decides it's best to part ways, noting their different paths, he as a cultivator, and her as a normal snake. Reflecting on how, in the past, he might have been more carefree and impulsive, Snakey comments on how awakening his intelligence has changed him. He now focuses on higher pursuits rather than succumbing to base desires, emphasizing that he's here to cultivate. Snakey spots the snake fruit growing from a mystical tree, which ripens every 3 years. This fruit is particularly effective for snakes, and Snakey is determined to consume it to strengthen his cultivation, knowing that this rare opportunity only comes with the arrival of spring. Snakey, reflecting on the benefits of consuming the snake fruit, recalls that his ability to sense spiritual energy began 3 years ago when he accidentally ate one of these fruits. Now, he wonders if consuming more could propel him to the 4th stage of cultivation. As Snakey contemplates his next move, he spots several fruits on the tree, and his ambition grows. He believes that by consuming 3 of them, he could ascend rapidly. His plans are interrupted when he senses someone approaching. Recognizing the voices, Snakey suspects it's the same snake catchers he's encountered before. The intruders, a pair of cultivators, Senior Sister Song and Senior Brother Ding, are on their way to claim the snake fruit. They mention how Senior Brother Ding redeemed himself in the past, and Song graciously offers him some of the fruit as a reward. Both seem respectful toward each other as they approach the tree, with Ding insisting that 2 fruits will be enough for him, while Song can take the rest. Snakey, now alert and cautious, prepares to face these familiar foes while maintaining his goal of obtaining the fruits. Snakey overhears the snake catchers talking about their plans. Senior Brother Ding, with his serious demeanor, is being comforted by Senior Sister Song, who applies some realgar powder on his arm, a sign of her readiness for the task ahead. Snakey, hiding nearby, realizes that they've brought a weapon specifically to deal with him and the snake fruits. He contemplates whether to escape but quickly dismisses the thought since the snake fruit is so close to ripening. Snakey reflects on his strength, recalling his previous battles against the demon eel and the demon bear, convincing himself that the snake catchers might not be as formidable as they seem. However, his confidence is quickly shaken when a foul smell suddenly surrounds him, causing him to gag in disgust, signaling that something strange and unexpected is happening. This tense moment leaves Snakey caught between his rising concern for the dangerous situation and the snake fruit that he desperately wants to secure. After catching the scent of something terrible in the air, Snakey decides to observe from a distance. He assumes that the humans may end up fighting amongst themselves, giving him an opportunity to avoid conflict. The snake catchers, Senior Sister Song and her companion, have a plan to draw out the old Snake King. They comment on how the creature has likely lived a long life and may be near the end of its vitality. Snakey, feeling insulted by their remarks about his lifespan, internally retorts that his vitality is still strong and dismisses their claims. He feels confident in his strength. Meanwhile, Senior Sister Song's attention is primarily on the nearly ripened snake fruit tree, ready to harvest the valuable fruits for her cultivation. Snakey, watching from his hiding place, contemplates the situation. He knows that while they are distracted by the snake fruits, he might have a chance to strike, But he also reflects on the fact that the fruit has grown well, and letting the humans get to it first could lead to disaster. As Snakey hides, he overhears the snake catchers, Senior Sister Song and her companion, discuss their next move. They are aware that a powerful snake is nearby and are cautious. Snakey is startled, wondering if they have detected him. The ground suddenly cracks beneath them with a loud crack, causing the snake catchers to react as rocks begin to fall. They shout to dodge, anticipating an attack. From the rubble emerges the massive form of the old black snake, catching everyone off guard. Senior Sister Song, not surprised, announces its appearance with confidence. Snakey, completely shocked by the situation, lets out a comical, "Ha!" in disbelief. Snakey realizes in disbelief that the old Snake King before him is the real deal, and he might have been mistaken all along. The old Snake King's reputation starts to make more sense now as Snakey pieces together that he might have taken the blame for the king's mischief when he first ventured out 3 years ago. The battle between the old Snake King and the female snake catcher intensifies as she uses her powers, summoning a swamp spell to trap the old Snake King. However, the king proves to be a formidable opponent, shaking off her attacks with sheer strength and resistance. Meanwhile, Snakey, clearly stunned by the intensity of the fight, watches from a safe distance. As the clash reaches a new height, the ground begins to tremble and shake violently under the force of their attacks. Snakey is amazed as he realizes the old Snake King, despite his age, is still managing to counter the powerful attacks. This snake catcher is no joke, but the old Snake King isn't backing down easily either. Finally, the snake catcher pulls out another powerful treasure, a soul-suppressing bell, in an attempt to suppress the old Snake King's spirit. Snakey watches in awe, shocked by the reveal of yet another powerful tool in the snake catcher's arsenal, wondering how this fight will unfold next. The woman, with fierce determination, uses her shake all directions technique, causing violent tremors that impact the old snake, tearing it apart from the inside. The snake writhes in pain under the force of the attack. Not one to give up, the woman launches her next move, ethereal shadow darts, sending sharp projectiles toward the snake. The old snake hisses in pain as the darts pierce its thick scales. Remarking on the toughness of the snake's scales, she muses how they could be peeled to craft precious armor. Her partner agrees and prepares to assist, acknowledging both her strength and the resilience of the black snake. The man, called Junior Brother Zhao, is instructed to use his Wind Blade Talisman for a wide-scale attack. Both snake catchers combine their techniques in hopes of wearing down the old black snake. With a coordinated effort, they seem to be succeeding. Junior Brother Zhao shouts that their combined attack is working, and the old black snake won't last much longer under their relentless assault. The end of the battle appears near. Snakey debates what to do as he watches the battle between the old Snake King and the human snake catchers. He wonders whether to intervene or just take advantage of the situation to grab the snake fruit and leave. Ultimately, Snakey decides that since they are of the same kind, he will secretly help the old Snake King. Just as Snakey is about to make his move, he notices some activity near the snake fruit tree. A figure emerges from the shadows, catching Snakey's attention. A sneaky human, taking advantage of the fight between the snake catchers and the old Snake King, approaches the tree. With a smug look, he declares that while the others are busy, the snake fruit tree is now his for the taking. Snakey, furious at the audacity of the man trying to steal the tree, yells at him to stop. He threatens to tear the man apart if he dares to destroy the precious tree. The man, startled by the sudden attack, yells in fear, trying to comprehend what monstrous force is attacking him. Snakey wraps around the man, declaring that if he's going to dig up the roots of the snake fruit tree, he might as well prepare for the consequences. The situation intensifies as the tree is absorbed, and Snakey is in visible pain, with the tree's leaves being completely consumed. This causes discomfort, and Snakey comments on the sensation, hinting that the massive intake is overwhelming and difficult to manage. A chaotic scene ensues as Snakey seemingly ejects something in response to the pressure building up, accompanied by powerful energy. The force from the event shakes the surroundings, showing just how intense this transformation or reaction is. Snaky realizes that their energy level has reached its peak, reaching a significant milestone in their cultivation. There is a brief moment of relief as Snaky acknowledges the situation wasn't poisonous but an overpowering surge of energy. Reflecting on what just happened, Snaky mentions that a large amount of the tree's leaves were consumed. They also ponder if the recent surge in energy and chaos could have been caused by these leaves, understanding that the process took a substantial amount of energy. Snaky is seen rushing to stop the humans from reaching the snake fruit. The scene shifts to the old Snake King lying gravely injured. Its massive body is motionless. Senior Sister Song comments on how quickly the old Snake King was defeated, impressed by the swift resolution of the battle. She praises Zhao, though with a sarcastic tone, suggesting his performance was just average. Senior Sister Song and Zhao realize that the snake fruit tree is missing, leaving them confused and wondering who took it. Senior Sister Song angrily demands to know who is responsible for the tree's disappearance, and Zhao seems suspicious. Song, the character in the red dress, questions Zhao, her fellow disciple, about his actions. She is clearly frustrated, but Zhao calmly responds, implying his words were meant literally. The tension rises as Song accuses Zhao of scheming behind her back. Zhao tries to reassure her, offering that if she reveals the real culprit behind the missing tree, he won't report the situation to their master. Zhao mocks Song for suggesting another accomplice, sarcastically asking if she thinks he's a child. Meanwhile, Snaky observes the exchange, realizing they now suspect an outsider. Zhao pulls out a jade amulet and threatens to involve their master in the situation. He throws the amulet, intending to escalate matters. The amulet is intercepted, and someone warns Zhao to stop before things get out of hand. Zhao expresses surprise upon seeing a senior brother appear and asks what brings him here. The senior brother reveals that their master sent him to secretly protect them, as he knew their movements. Song questions Zhao if he was responsible for the snake fruit tree incident. Zhao denies it, explaining that another powerful figure was involved. The senior brother focuses, trying to sense the lingering energy and tracks a footprint, but notes that it disappears abruptly. Zhao asks what they should do now. The senior brother, determined, reassures him that as long as the person is alive, he will find them. He slams his hand to the ground, vowing to track down the culprit using his abilities. Snaky, feeling nervous, questions its strength and whether it can keep up with the increasing power around it. It contemplates hiding deeper in a cave to protect itself. Snaky, while hiding on a ledge, observes the glowing snake fruit near the tree. It seems to be ripening, drawing Snaky's attention. Snaky is stunned as the snake fruit begins to glow intensely, signaling its imminent ripeness. Zhao, noticing the ripening of the snake fruit, becomes aware of the crucial moment and the power of the fruit. Song, recognizing the scent of the ripening snake fruit, realizes it is underground. With a focused look, she moves toward the source, determined to retrieve the powerful fruit. Zhao uses a special earth technique to dive underground, aiming to surprise the target. Song, standing nearby, observes the move with calm confidence. Snaky, now realizing the danger, decides to act, trying to swallow the precious fruit before fleeing. Snaky swallow while calling for the process to hurry up. However, Zhao emerges from the ground, using his swift movements to close in on Snaky. He comments on the technique, noting its proficiency but feeling that something is odd about the whole situation. Zhao calmly acknowledges the situation, preparing himself for what's next. He mentions that their sex artifact will be effective unless the enemy is a strong cultivator. Zhao uses his power to manipulate the ground, preparing for an attack as he focuses his energy. Zhao, filled with anger, charges forward with immense power, accusing the enemy of stealing from the snake sect and declaring they will not let it escape. Snaky, now in a panic, realizes the danger and urges the artifact to refine faster, feeling the pressure as Zhao closes in. With golden energy spreading across its body, its venomous fangs grow longer, and its scales thicken, preparing for a surge in strength. Zhao descends swiftly, engaging the ground with intense force, just as Snaky completes its transformation, gaining a new level of power. Snaky unleashes a powerful strike, showcasing its newly achieved strength. As Zhao closes in from above, Snaky's breakthrough is clearly visible, reaching a higher level. Zhao is visibly shocked as he realizes that the target he has been chasing is not a human cultivator but a snake. Snaky, feeling confident after its breakthrough, reflects on how it managed to outwit Zhao. The snake boasts its intellect and power, ready to make an escape while mocking the confusion of its pursuer. Zhao is chasing Snaky, determined to capture the beast alive, believing this could lead to significant rewards and recognition back at their sect. Snaky is feeling stronger as its scales increase, reaching a new level of power while evading the chase. Zhao attempts to strike, thinking this will be the key to capturing Snaky. He's confident that this move will help him stop Snaky from escaping. Snaky is startled and panicking, realizing that Zhao not only uses powerful techniques but also possesses a magical treasure. Zhao summons his treasure, intending to unleash its full power in an effort to capture Snaky once and for all. Zhao unleashes a powerful treasure artifact, aimed at trapping Snaky. The artifact releases an intense pressure, and Snaky realizes it's unlike anything he's faced before. Snaky struggles against the artifact, knowing that if he's captured, it's the end. He tries to escape, but the pressure from the treasure intensifies. The treasure attempts to wrap around Snaky, but unexpectedly, Snaky manages to slip away at the last moment. Zhao is surprised that his attack hasn't shattered Snaky's defense. He presses forward with the treasure, determined to capture Snaky once and for all. Snaky, dodging and twisting, is bewildered that his golden scales, which are supposed to be indestructible, are being pressured by Zhao's treasure. He realizes that the situation is getting more dangerous as Zhao's attacks continue. Zhao confidently talks about the treasure he's wielding, claiming it's powerful enough to handle even the strongest beasts, no matter how advanced they are. Snaky realizes that the treasure is controlled by Zhao's consciousness, and Snaky starts formulating a plan to counter it. Snaky attempts to erase Zhao's control over the treasure, but he's caught off guard by the treasure's powerful resistance. Zhao, grinning as he brags about how well-refined the treasure is, says it can resist any attempt to break its control unless someone of a master's caliber intervenes. Snaky makes a resolute decision to use physical strength instead of spiritual means, charging ahead to overcome the obstacle through brute force. Snaky realizes that the enemy's attack is painful, but he's relieved by his tough skin, resolving to endure the assault. The enemy, irritated by Snaky's resilience, is determined not to let him escape, ordering his summoned creature to break through Snaky's defenses. Half an hour later, we see the tension still building inside the dark, rocky cave. The enemy unleashes an earth spell, attacking fiercely and cursing Snaky for causing such trouble. Frustrated, the enemy comments on Snaky's sly tactics, forcing him to remain underground for a long time while enduring the cramped space. He also acknowledges the cave's narrow passages, making it difficult to use his techniques. The enemy is chasing Snaky relentlessly, determined not to let Snaky escape with his treasure. He uses his earth-based techniques to speed up and stay on Snaky's tail. Snaky, aware that the treasure is slowing the enemy down, tries to escape while calculating how to use the situation to its advantage. The enemy catches up and threatens to tear Snaky apart, using more aggressive techniques and yelling that Snaky cannot escape. Snaky manages to maintain some distance and uses a temporary speed boost to further avoid capture. But it's clear the chase is far from over. The enemy prepares another powerful attack, aiming to reclaim the treasure and overpower Snaky, making sure to leave no chance for Snaky to flee. Snaky sees an opening and realizes this is their chance to escape. The enemy continues to pressure with their relentless attacks. Snaky moves swiftly, but the enemy's attack causes significant damage to the surroundings. Snaky's surprise is clear as they wonder why such a powerful attack didn't harm them as expected. The enemy begins to doubt the strength of Snaky's scales, impressed by their durability. The enemy draws a sword called Snake Slayer with determination, shouting that they aren't afraid of Snaky. The enemy prepares for a final, decisive blow, emphasizing that this legendary sword won't fail after being refined for so long. The enemy swings his powerful sword, aiming for a finishing blow, confident that it will end Snakey. However, the strike does not cut through as expected, leaving him bewildered and frustrated. Snakey observes the sword's failed impact, questioning why it didn't break or harm him, showing shock at the lack of damage. The enemy is stunned, realizing that his sword, which he relied on for victory, is ineffective. His expression is full of disbelief. Snakey retaliates, furiously declaring that the enemy is not worthy to harm him, particularly when it comes to his prized scales, unleashing a defensive strike. The enemy's sword finally shatters, leaving him kneeling, reflecting on how even though he used all his strength in the attack, the damage to Snakey was far less than anticipated. The enemy realizes the snake is not ordinary. As the intense battle unfolds, the enemy is forced to flee, realizing that this is beyond his capabilities, potentially an advanced creature. He contemplates retreating to the surface, questioning if his remaining energy can support the magic he needs to escape. He finds an opening above him, praying for assistance, and uses his wind-based magic to propel himself upward. Meanwhile, Snakey follows closely behind, and the enemy becomes tangled in what appears to be discarded snake skin, realizing he was deceived as he struggles to comprehend this unexpected twist. Snakey always battles fiercely, dodging the attacks from the enemy as it recognizes that this is not just any regular foe but a highly skilled one. A sudden explosion is heard, causing confusion among the characters as they wonder if the sounds could be their ally in trouble. The enemy charges forward, warning the others to escape because a mosquito dragon hatchling is pursuing them. His fierce expression signals the gravity of the situation. One of the characters, seemingly in disbelief, questions the presence of a mosquito dragon hatchling, as these creatures are typically ancient beings. Panic sets in as they realize their lives might be at risk. They decide to flee in the opposite direction from their senior, noting that they have no other choice under the circumstances. Meanwhile, Snakey comments on the unexpected situation of one of the characters escaping. He is frustrated but resolves not to let them get away this time. The enemy, racing ahead, notices that the valley is near its exit, believing Snakey is too far behind to catch up. He decides that they need to return to their sect as soon as possible for safety. The enemy, still within the serpent's line of sight, declares his determination to kill the creature, certain of his victory. However, the enemy is quickly struck by green venom, fall to the ground, struggling with the venom's effects, while the enemy realizes his earlier mistake, underestimating the snake's ability to use venom even after its head was injured. In a panic, he frantically searches for an antidote, finds it, and quickly consumes it, hoping to neutralize the poison in time. As the snake closes in, the enemy prepares to use a special item, a high-grade spiritual jade, his trump card for survival. The enemy unleashes a furious attack, using his abilities to speed up as the tension builds. His face shows determination as he rushes forward, prepared for the battle ahead. Snakey, equally resolute, contemplates that there is only one way to ensure the enemy's defeat, deciding to extract his golden scales, a crucial moment in their confrontation. Shooting the extracted golden scale toward the enemy at high speed, intending to make a decisive blow. The enemy, sensing the danger, attempts to flee, but the golden scale chases him. Finally, the scale strikes the enemy directly, delivering a powerful hit, with the last line suggesting that this may be the end for him.